siamo in diretta, già posso partire, sì. Quel case c'è niente, in Zoom ancora non ci sta nessuno. Comunque sarebbe tra 20 minuti. Sì, ci sta. Ah, ci sta pure, ok, perfetto, ok, stiamo a posto. Poi a un certo punto invece mi ha detto, quando parla a questo punto Alfonso Rossi Piangeri, sì, mi ha detto che vuole una roba che ho messo io la prima presentazione che ho fatto mercoledì. Quindi metteremo la prima, però il primo giorno c'è solo io, se tu vai alla prima, l'introduction, apriamo quella e andiamo a 2 slide in particolare, le possiamo mettere. Sì, quella delle 2:30, sì. Sì, quindi a un certo punto. Va bene. All right. Right, after the coffee break, we're back. And so, I don't need 2 mics. We start with the last session of the day. And this session will start with a presentation from our EU project officers, Antonio Fernandez and Anada Show. I thank you for being here, first of all, and I invite you here on the stage for your presentation. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me here. I am the project officer from the Research Executive Agency, and normally when we come to these kickoff meetings, they give us a presentation with 19 slides for consortia who don't know anything about anything and have a lot of time and a lot of interest in understanding all the minute administrative details of having a Horizon grant. I don't think it's the case here today. I see a lot of very experienced researchers, many known actors in the framework program, and I'll be quick, and I'll just stop in a couple of slides to explain you some things. I might scan quickly through others. Nevertheless, Michele has the presentation, so if ever you need to check this presentation for reference, they are there, and you can take a look at them. But just give you a brief overlook of my presentation. I'll just give you a few, explain what's the agency and what's the difference between the agency and the Commission. We often get referred to as the Commission project officers. Then I'll give you some policy background, a couple of actions that I've identified that could be interesting for you to get in touch with. And then I'll just, after today's presentation with communication and dissemination, I think I'm going to skip my part because I think you're in very good hands. I see the consortium is focused and motivated, so I'll just avoid everybody those slides. Just very briefly, I am the project officer from the European Research Executive Agency, the RIA. I'm not in the Commission. The Commission prepares the work program. This is what you read when you're preparing the proposal. But everything else afterwards is done by us. So we are contracting the experts, organizing the evaluations, retaining some proposals for funding, and doing all the management and supervision of those projects. And here we have a few of the areas that we have. In particular, on the left side, we have civil security for society, which is the area that we are working. On top of supervising projects, we have, well, as I said, we do the evaluation, the participation, the validation of some participants, as some of you had to go through in the gap stage of this project. And also, we will hire the experts, reviewers, who will take a look at the projects in 16th month from now. These are some of the areas that we looked at, that we have projects in our unit. Among them, there is the Disaster Resilience Society, DRS, which is your topic. And in particular, in our unit, this is all our activities. We do all the legacy and disaster risk reduction. We organize evaluations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So This area of Horizon Europe or Horizon 2020, it's very policy relevant. We're having constant communication with the policy units in the Commission, in DG Home. They're constantly wanting to know about the projects and want to try to inform them about the projects. And therefore, it's very, very policy relevant. My colleague, Philippe Cabovillier, probably some of you already know him, has provided some relevant slides for the policy background, but he has a habit of wanting to compress everything in just one slide. So don't be afraid. Well, in a way, you should somehow be scared, but I'll explain you now why. So there is an international dialogue on DRM, and we need to ensure that all the different parts, horizontally, vertically, in all dimensions, are connected, because this area is intrinsically multidisciplinary, but it's also multi-geographical, and we find different approaches in different regions of the European Union. To begin with, we have the policies, and policies that take place at different levels, at an international level with the United Nations. We have European policies, we have regional policies and national policies. So it's a bit of a salad of policies that you need to navigate through. One of the main policies that has been mentioned here is the Sendai framework, which is not very binding, but luckily it's partially included in the Union Civil Protection Mechanism that has a stronger binding character than the Sendai framework, which observes different types of hazards, and these different types of hazards, they have different directives and policies, like the Water Framework Policy, the Flood Directive, the Marine Strategy. For cross-border threats to health, there is Decision 1088, etc., etc. So this, you see, this slide is going in the way of causing confusion and scaring you a bit for the purpose that you'll see next. Then, of course, in all this situation, we have the research and innovation projects, where you are now. This project should be connected with networks, and this is something where you'll have our support. I think it's very interesting and very beneficial that you try to connect as many networks as possible, because they will act as an echo chamber of all your activities. Networks here. Then the market uptake is also part of this whole landscape. And why am I telling you this in this horrible slide? We have, and some of you should be aware of this, we have this community of users where different members of different entities participating in all these activities are getting together and meeting periodically. We have 5 areas: protection infrastructure, disaster resilient societies, fight against crime and terrorism, border management, and SSRI is an acronym I can never remember. But the important thing is that here in the new community of users, which is now called SERIS, it's the perfect place for network and to connect and to meet people, to present the results of the projects, and to discuss different aspects of the projects. It's also connected with some national regional platforms, for example, the Spanish community of users. And we meet different moments of the year, again and again, on thematic workshops, events, and there is finally the Service Expert Board that meets every year. And at the end of the year, the aim is to obtain a document distilling the best lessons learned that we had from the whole year, from all the projects and all the actors that are participating in the SERIS group. And we also have the SERIS Expert Group, who is some sort of advisor to the Commission, to the Home. And everything they produce, it's fed into the policy machinery that they have there. Now, this is something that was specifically asked to present here. There is many cooperation opportunities, but I think, in my opinion, the most interesting one for you should be the project directed. This is another proposal that was funded under the same topic, in the same evaluation. This is the System Resilience for Extreme Climate Events, providing interpretable data, models, communication, and governance. It has the same starting date as the HuT, and the coordinator is the Technische Universiteit Braunschweig. I've already got in touch with them, and they're very keen on cooperating with the HuT. I think there are many, many areas of positive synergy between two projects, and I would recommend you to approach them with an open mind and see what comes out of that discussion. I think that this is something that we can only promote from our side, because it can maximize all the output of your project. I've seen that also you have a pilot in the Danube region, and I wonder if you know of this action. Because this is the Danube region Resilience Exchange Network. It gathers a lot of end users, a lot of actors in the Danube region. I think that would be also very interesting if we get in touch with them and see if there's any possibility for cooperation and synergies with them. They recently extended the project, so they will last until February next year. But therefore, I would encourage you to get in touch with them as soon as possible. In our email exchange, I will send you the contact details of the coordinator. Some reporting guidelines, very briefly. You know that at the end of the 16-month reporting period, we have to take a look at the project. We will bring some external experts who will see how the project is going through the first, second, and third part of the duration. Just some words on our general approach. You see, the agency has already put a few million euros of public money on the project. Our approach, our intention is not to see if we can get you, the World 3.2 is 2 months late. Why? Our approach is to support you because your success is our success. And with this philosophy, the reviews, at least the way I approach them, is with a support spirit. The review is someone outside the project, very expert on that particular field, who is looking at the project from outside, and you have an exchange with them. They may have ideas, they may see things that you didn't see. Sometimes the consortia are so focused and close to the research itself that they forget to take some perspective. And it's always good to have the opinion of someone seeing everything from the outside. So that's the philosophy that I like to use on the reviews. In this complicated workflow, I'll just explain very briefly this complicated workflow. And you have 60 days after the end of the project, so you have to submit financial reports and a technical report. And then there will be some iteration with our legal and financial officers. We'll give you feedback once, and after that, we will go ahead with the payment. Now, very often, people forget to put things like, for example, how many people came to this meeting? If, when the financial officer poses questions on please specify how many people attended this, and you do not react, it means that on that payment exercise, we will not pay the travel cost of attending this. And you'll have to wait until the end of the second reporting period to claim those costs properly. So this is very important that when the questions from the financial officer comes, that you react timely on those requests so you get paid for those items. I think I can skip this. There's a technical report. There's a financial report that includes all the costs that you have during the reporting period. There is one iteration, and the costs that are not justified, they will not be paid. Of course, at the end of the project, everything will eventually be paid. but you need to claim those costs properly. There will be 3 periodic reviews with 3 payments, and in principle, there will not be technical reviews on this project. You receive a pre-financing of 53.33%. Is this correct? Yes? It should be. Yeah, okay, yes, exactly. That should be it, minus 5% for the guarantee fund. Yeah. Just one important thing, you have to keep timesheets. Is there anybody here who does not keep timesheets? No? Good. Timesheets. No, because now is the moment to say we don't have timesheets. Not at the end of the reporting period. If you wait until the end of the reporting period, then we have a problem. CFS, there are 3 entities in this consortium that in principle should submit CFSs. So keep it in mind and don't wait for us to tell you you have to submit a CFS. Just try to be proactive so not to delay the final payment. This is a scary slide. Here we say that we are all benefiting from this, but if things don't work, we can always stop the grant. Amendments, yes, you can always change the grant to a certain extent. You cannot turn this project into a different project, but as long as everything that you request is reasonable, is properly justified, you will not have any problems from our side. We try. In general, we're very cooperative with the consortium. Sometimes coordinators come to us and say, can we change this? Of course you can change it. If it goes in the direction of achieving your project objectives, it's fine with us. It's not a problem. So I'll skip communication because this is important. Every paper has to have this. Sometimes we have a request of someone went to a conference to present a paper. If there is no reference to the project, we will not cover those costs. So make sure that there's always a reference to the project in every publication. There's for reference, some tools for dissemination and exploitation that you may want to look at them. The ethics part was rather simple and very well covered in this project, so it didn't require any extra action from your side or our side, so that's very good. There are no security issues. There is some further information in case you want to take a look. Also follow up. You can follow up on Twitter, and that's all from my side. Thank you. Any questions?
Very much for this. If there is any question from the participants in relation to what our project officer is telling us, this is also a chance. If not, I thank you. I thank you very much. And next in line is the Legality and Ethics Advisory Panel. We have 3 members of the panel, 3 members in the panel. Here with us, the first one, Jonathan Pračke. I invite you, Jonathan, on stage. Sociologist, professor at University of Naples, Federico II. You will say it, also a close friend of mine. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you very much, Michele. Thanks first of all, for the opportunity to participate in the project, so to enter the HuT and to have the opportunity to meet you all over the course of this very interesting kickoff meeting. So I'm Associate Professor of Economic Sociology at the University of Naples. And over the years, I've worked on a number of projects where we've collected personal data, where we've collected sensitive data. So I've worked a lot with individual level health data, collecting information from active drug users on prostitution and a range of sensitive topics. So as a practitioner, as a researcher, I have a good working knowledge of all of the ins and outs of obtaining permission ethical approval, working with GDPR and so on and so forth. And that's, I guess, the first part of my role, what I can bring to the project. So you'll see from the program that My my formal contribution is related to data, collecting survey data and dealing with GDPR. And I think there may be some aspect of that in the course of this project, particularly in relation to work package number 2. I think collecting personal data obviously isn't at the center of our activities, but we need to be aware when using even secondary data that the procedures for accessing and using personal information has become much more complex with the GDPR regulations and in many cases new national legislation as well regarding the treatment of personal information. So those regulations obviously are motivated by the desire to protect people's privacy, to ensure that data are treated respectfully, that people have the right to know what information is held on them and to change that information, to withdraw from research projects and so on and so forth. But it also means that organizations have generally become quite conservative in their approach to data. And GDPR has undoubtedly increased the difficulties that researchers face in accessing data. So I'm sure you'll have all had that frustrating experience of trying to convince public authorities or data holders or agencies to share their data and to have encountered that response, that immediate response. Oh, we can't do that. It's under GDPR. We can't do anything. We can't share. We can't actually do anything with our data. We can't even look at it ourselves. So there's quite a conservative approach to data, which often isn't objectively justified. So I think it's necessary, when you're thinking about coming up with a data plan for projects such as this, to also know exactly what the rules are, exactly what the regulations and legislation enable, permit us to do, and don't allow us to do, so that we can actually understand the limits of what we can do. So I'm an officer of statistics, which means I have training in GDPR and in data security. And I think in the course of this project, perhaps we can quite easily stay on top of any of those issues. I'm sure Michele will provide guidance. The most important thing that I think the participants need to be aware of is that they have precise responsibilities in relation to data, and that they should always interact with the data officer at local level. So there is usually a figure within the university or institute where most of us will be working, who has overall responsibility for data issues. And there's obviously a hierarchy of responsibility that works all the way up to the information commissioner level at national level and so on. So we find ourselves in the situation where we have to plan ahead for using even secondary data. Often even the use of anonymous data sources can raise issues in relation to personal information. Because if there's any straightforward way of identifying participants through the combination of responses they provide or in conjunction with another data set, then that can raise issues. And these are, in many ways, the easiest problems to avoid in a project, but particularly difficult to resolve if they're not anticipated. The other area, obviously, as a social scientist, I'm eager to participate and with the discussions that we've already begun with many of you about the role of social factors and the role of social vulnerability in relation to disaster risk reduction. So I think there are a few areas where we could potentially continue and develop that debate in relation, for example, to building up a better understanding of how social vulnerabilities are distributed at the local level. So I've worked a lot on small area indicators of vulnerability. I developed the official deprivation index for the Republic of Ireland, which is used across all of the government departments for measuring and monitoring inequalities and risk, and is used, for example, in disaster preparation strategies, so that, for example, emergency services know where the most vulnerable communities are located. So in the event of a disaster of any nature, a fire in a large industrial facility or flood or whatever, the intervention can be targeted at the most vulnerable communities. So that's one area. The other area where I think we could potentially have a fruitful discussion is in relation to user involvement. And I've worked quite a lot on user involvement within the general field of public services, but I think a lot of those principles are transferable also to this project, where the need to give value to the lived experience of the people living in areas affected by risk and so on is very important. And recognizing that people are experts in relation to their own lives, and that a kind of paternalistic approach where the expert says, well, we know best and we know what you should do in this, that, and the other situation, really doesn't do justice, neither ethically in terms of the participants in our projects and local citizens, but it isn't efficacious or efficient either, because often the information that's needed in order to make warning systems work effectively is bound up with that lived knowledge and experience that people have, so that there's a real, I think, onus on this project to take involvement and consultation and participation very seriously in order to come up with better systems. So thank you very much, and thanks again for the invitation to be here.
Thank you very much for these insights on the issues that are pertaining to the LEAP specifically, but also on other issues that are more general for the project. Thank you very much, Jonathan. So now we should have online, if my information is correct, Kees van Westen, not yet.
Yeah. Yes, I'm here.
All right, so you are there. We don't see you then. Hold on, they are showing me a hand to say just a second, because good, we can see you. Yeah, your face here is on the screen, the big screen. Thank you very much, Kees, for being here, not in person, unfortunately. Also because, as maybe you will say, next week you will have your own kickoff. So thank you, and the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you very much for inviting me. May I share my screen for a short presentation?
Yes, you can.
I hope you can see it. Yeah, so
yes.
Unfortunately, I'm not able to attend, which I did plan, but due to say a lot of activities that come together, including the kickoff meeting from our own project, it was too much to do. So must apologize. Although I find a lot of similarities or synergies between the HuT project and the Paratus project, the project that I am coordinating together with my colleague Funda Thun. And I would like to explain in a few minutes a bit about our project, and hopefully that we could explore also further along the lines what would be the synergies between our two projects. So Paratus is a project selected within DRS 0103. The title is on increasing preparedness and resilience of European communities by co-developing services using dynamic systemic risk assessment. If we look at the objectives of the project, we aim to develop an open source platform for dynamic risk assessment, which allows to evaluate multi-hazard impact chains. So the impact chain component is quite crucial within our project, and see how risk reduction measures could be adopted to reduce the impact from those chains. We also look at future scenarios and how these could be reduced. So within this methodology, forensic analysis of historical disaster events plays an important role to augment historical disaster databases with hazard interactions and sectorial impacts is very important. And a very important component also is to exploit remote sensing data with artificial intelligence methods. The aim is also to develop new exposure and vulnerability analysis methods that enable systemic risk assessment across sectors. So we look at different sectors: humanitarian, transportation, communication, and we also look at different settings, so islands, mountains, megacities. The next picture gives a kind of overall view of the project, kind of a one page, where we have central is the development of these impact chains. So how can we describe those, and how can we quantify which components of these impact chains could be quantified? That is the core of our project. And we have on the left side is that we kind of look back and learn from the past using these different tools I mentioned. The right side indicates the looking ahead part, where we're looking at future scenarios and risk mitigation options. The top part refers to development of tools. That would be open source based, web-based tools that will allow to map out and quantify these risks. And the bottom part is the interaction with the stakeholders using serious game approaches. So the project is composed, the consortium is composed of 19 partners here, 20 partners are there, but one of the partners, UNU EHS, was eventually not accepted as a partner because as not being European. It's actually linked now to URAC, where they have the GLOMOS network on mountain environments. And we have also a UK partner that receives funding from the UK. So we have a mix within this project of university and research partners, SMEs and industries, local and regional communities and authorities, and NGOs, including also a number of common partners between the HuT and our Paratus project, which we also hope that will stimulate collaboration through these partners involved in both projects. We have 4 case study areas. You have many more, but we focus on 4 main areas. We focus on different areas for the learning components, for the forensic analysis, but the application sites are the Alps, where we look at multi-hazards, the impact in the sector of cross-border transportation. We work in Romania with the civil protection. There we will probably also look at a flooding environment and maybe also an earthquake-related aspect. But there's definitely room for collaboration in that level. We have a Caribbean islands, small island states, and islands from belonging to EU. Looking at hurricanes and multi-hazards related to that. And we have a megacity, Istanbul, where we specifically look at the humanitarian aspect, the disadvantaged groups, looking at refugees coming from Syria and in the center of Istanbul. So this gives opportunities for collaboration between our 2 projects. I think we share partners. We can also share certain application sites, maybe also through those partners, and through that perhaps also work together on some of the deliverables if that would be possible. We might also link with other projects. It was already mentioned, Directed, Myriad EU is another project that is looking at multi-hazard risk. We're linking with networks, and we can be in each other's boards. Now, finally, we have our kickoff, as I said already, next Monday and Tuesday. We do this in Enschede in the Netherlands. We would also follow that up with a symposium of 3 days dealing with monitoring and modeling risk and resilience, where we have the first day looking at more the subsurface component, the second day at dynamic risk, and the third day at response and recovery. These are also linked to inaugural addresses of 3 professors. And it can also be followed live. If you just type itc.nl/live, it's possible to follow the program. So with that, I wish you good luck with your HuT project and look forward to collaboration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your contribution. And indeed, that's our common aim, to create synergies among projects. And as we saw, like the 3 projects that are starting on the same day are 3 DRS projects that we mentioned. We will try to see, to try to work as much as possible, not to creating synergies, as we said. So, unfortunately, the last, so thank you, Casey, you are invited to stay with us and join us for the rest of the session, if you want.
Yes.
The third member of LEAP is, unfortunately, she couldn't be here. She was supposed to come in person from Turin. She's mainly dealing with gender issues, and unfortunately, no, she couldn't come. She's sending apologies, and she cannot even connect online. With that, in the program, we allocated some time for specific discussion on this. So if there is any intervention from the floor, anything that the participants want to say in relation to that, this is the time. If not, again, we can have everything in the final discussion. Okay, there is Ilan Kelman.
Thank you. How ambitious is it to propose joint meetings amongst the projects, or is just that too much stress, too much work? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, because indeed we started meeting online before the beginning of the project, at least with the project Paratus. So we did it before the summer together with the project Myriad EU. Myriad EU has already, I don't know if Marlene is, yes, is there. Already started, so they are 1 year ahead of us, whereas these new projects, the HuT and Paratus, are starting now, but anyway stimulated by this common. We understood at some point that we both won our bids in this call. We started discussing before the summer, and we understood at some point. We had a couple of online meetings that we should definitely streamline the cooperation in some way by creating. By participating at common events or jointly organizing some events, as well as Case was saying, we are at least for now in each other's boards, like to check on what's going on. So I cannot answer precisely to your question, but no, we will do our best, because to do what's needed as much as possible, considering, of course, that each one of us as a bunch of partners to coordinate in our respective projects, following our respective tasks, deliverables, and so forth. But definitely there is, the intention is to go forward. Please, again.
I wonder then, because you mentioned EGU, and there's also AGU, and then the geographers meetings and the ISA in Melbourne next year and so forth. We are certainly, Karina and I, encourage our early career researchers to try to get to these big international conferences. And I wonder if we can get one of them to organize a panel or a session, like in EGU, even a day, a whole session to bring the projects together, in the other ones, a panel.
I don't know if Paolo is also here, but maybe just left it. Okay, he's there, is he? Okay. You want to say something about, because you were mentioning it to me over coffee break. Okay, Paolo Capuano, a member of our team at UNISA for the HuT, but as well the coordinator of CORE, another funded EU DRS project from Horizon 2020.
No, I just only to inform you that CORE, together with the RISC-PAC, another sister project, submitted a proposal for a section in the next EU centered on science communication and citizen science to increase the risk perception and awareness. And if we have a good result from this submission, that means if it will be accepted, we will invite the HuT to contribute to this section. And the idea is for the next project, the next meeting, to organize to propose a section together with the HuT.
Thank you for that. I want to add that, that's why it was timely, your question, because we were just talking about it over there at the coffee break. The HuT is just starting, so we decided, maybe it's too early to go at EGU with a specific session. It's going to be April next year, but definitely in the years that will follow the next one. Yet at the same time, as we are mentioning, it's also those are venues also for cooperating with others, and actually, venues for creating those happenings that are indeed synergies happenings. And yes, of course, AGU in the States is kind of far from Europe, so maybe I don't see it as a primary location for networking or creating synergies, but definitely AGU. And before, when we were having that discussion in the previous session about events or conferences or happenings where to organize things for the HuT, indeed, it's not only us, but it's us together with the many other initiatives that we are trying to liaise with. And as we said, it was previous session, but indeed, it's what we are talking about. Legacy is our ambition as well. So, yes, we just started, but we're already thinking ahead, 4 years, but then there is more than those 4 years. So, the impact is long-term impact. Anyway, we wrote that we are trying to have an impact, not only, deliverables or results. Thank you for that stimulating question. I don't know if Case is already is still online, and if he wants to add some thoughts to this discussion, feel free to say something if you want. Any other comment?
Yeah, maybe
please,
one comment.
Please.
We are going to organize a session in the Understanding Risk forum, and that might also be an option to look into for the next year. I think now it's more like presenting what we want to do, but maybe if we do this together for next year's session, that would be definitely an option.
Absolutely. But so are you saying that you are already there at UR 2022? So did you already propose something for this particular year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be in December, right?
Right, yes.
All right. So yeah, basically, those gatherings always typically happen every 2 years, but absolutely, that's another important venue. UR, I guess some of you know, Understanding Risk. It's a big community. All right, then, thank you for this. And I invite our project manager, Alfonso Sifilangeri, to take the floor. From what I understood, we will share at some point some of the slides that I presented on Wednesday. Lo fai stesso tu a un certo punto decidi?
Okay, hello everybody. Happy to meet you in person. We have had a lot of email interaction during the last year, and we finally met. Well, we are at the very beginning of the project, so we do not have so many management issues, I would say. Our project officer has already explained very well our main duties, the deadlines, what we have to do. So I just want to come back to one point, that is what we can change, because this is the most frequent question that I receive. Again, as Antonio told, we can make changes. We have to stay within the Article 5.5 that we discussed yesterday for the budget flexibility, but we can make changes. What is important is that if you realize that there is something we want to change, just contact me and we can discuss. We have a very regular interaction with Antonio, so changes are not a real problem. The only point that we should discuss now is the composition of the consortium body that have been already presented, but I need to know if there is any objection on this. If you have any objection on the composition of the PMT, of the sorry, I'm quite old. Yeah, and on the advisory panels that we have presented. I hope that you have no objection on this, but if you have, just tell me. Okay? Okay, I think that it is okay.
So you want to make it brief?
Yeah.
You want to make it brief and very brief. But in the program, we also wrote Q&A with the project manager.
Yeah,
so.
just 1 second. The last point is we have received the advanced payment, the pre-financing. Probably you have received an email. We are ready to distribute it. On Monday, we will start with the transfer procedure that you know that at the university is not so fast, but we have started with the procedure. I still miss some financial documents from some of you. I will send you again a reminder to send us the identification that is practically the bank statement. And then we can start with the payments. I don't know if you have any question at this stage.
We were very clear. It's not, or it's very late in the kickoff meeting. But
No,
anyway,
it's too early. The problem is that.
no, of course, it's
very
a kickoff
beginning,
meeting.
so
It's a kickoff meeting, but it's also that also Antonio just like went outside. But you know, our project officers told us the rules of the game. Many of us already know the rules of the game. No, it's a large consortium, so we already faced some issues. You know. Not only in the preparation phase, but also after the acceptance of our grant because of, you know what, like the difficulties with partners that are not formally in the EU and some other issues. We are, you don't have to shy away, that's the thing. But
as far as the non-EU partner is concerned, this is a bit different because the rules are different and we have no relation with your funding agency. If I remember, it is UKRI for the UK partners and SERI for the Switzerland. We have no interaction with them. Of course, whatever you need from our side to deal with them, no problem, but we have no direct interaction with them. We interact just with the European Commission. But with SERI, the procedure are quite well, they have a good experience. I think that with UKRI is quite new, so if you need some documents, assistance, communication to them, no problem, but we have no direct interaction with them.
Okay, please, Katie. Okay, UK and then UK members start talking.
Hi, Alfonso.
Hi.
How much of the reporting, if you have no interaction between UKRI, Innovate UK, and EU and budgets and everything else, have we got to be doing double accounting, double reporting so that you are keeping up to date with what is going on with us? Or are we just reporting to Innovate UK?
Sorry. No financial report from your side.
Yep.
But just technical report activity.
Okay.
I don't know exactly the procedure in your case, but I think that it is probably that you will need the approval of the report from the European Commission to get the funds from UK, but I'm not sure. This is the first time, again. I have no experience, and I guess you have no experience on this, so we have to discover step by step. We have experience with SERI, and it works like this. I think that you just need the approval of the technical report, but you have no financial duties with the European Commission.
Any other question? If not, indeed, we already started. Let's say that we already started. Guido, maybe you may come on stage. We already started what we call the General Assembly, the end of this meeting. I said we already started it because our formal act was to approve the boards that whose composition I sent you in advance by means of this executive summary, and so no objections from what we understood, and so the boards are approved. And now, it's the time to eventually get some feedback from you, not only on what happened during the kickoff meeting, actually mainly on what is going to happen from tomorrow onwards, and mainly in relation to, with a specific reference to next year, right? So next coming months, next year, so because then we will meet again and there will be a General Assembly again next year. So if there is any issue, think about it if you want to say something. I just want to say, I took some small notes, but I don't have really, a list of topics to say, but just some comments from my side. I already mentioned it before when Ilaria was talking. The data sharing will happen through the Google platform environment. Like I already created Google Drives, so I will set up a structure of drives with different permissions according to the needs of the different folders and the needs of the different, we will see, working group leaders or participants and so forth. So basically, that is the environment where we will be sharing our documents and data. Some of them will be open to everybody, some of them will be open only to read, and some of them will be open to read, upload, as we already started doing. The test phase was already for this kickoff meeting. I asked you to send us the presentations there. So that's just to tell you, technically, we will use the Google platforms for Drive, the Google Drive for sharing, but also if we need to have some common document that has to be updated by many of us at the same time, maybe we will use again some of the features of, for instance, Google Doc or Google Sheets or stuff like that. We will see. Anyway, that's the choice, and then everything will be detailed in the next. It's coming at month 3, I guess. The first deliverable, how is it called? The one about data sharing. Then I've been talking to some of you in the past couple of days, and a need emerged for sharing the information of who we are. Even the participants of, as Irene was saying before, how many of you know the names of more than 10 of us today? So I will be sharing this information. I will be sharing information about the main contacts of each partner. So that's part of my job, my duties after the kickoff meeting. Maybe not this afternoon, really, but soon. So you will get that on top of your own contacts. I will keep the coordination of these as well, together with what I said, the other documents that we will be sharing. I want to mention, because we streamed the kickoff meeting. So, okay, not the interactive sessions, but the different sessions of the meeting that were plenary sessions, including this one now, are being streamed. And of course, while streaming, we are recording all of those. The recordings are already available for the previous sessions. I could check that they've been working up to yesterday, that we had all the recordings. So the videos also of the kickoff meeting will be shared. We will see then how to set up all the community, whether we we put it also like for everybody or only for ourselves, but like we will have also the video recordings. If you want to go back to a particular presentation and look at the video or even this discussion, you will be able to do that. Of course, I will also share the material that you uploaded and that you showed. So we will have all of that. In terms of feedback, we asked you some feedback during these days. Some of you complied better than others, but feedback is always feedback. Even no feedback is feedback. So besides that, and besides, I know that Anna Smetanova, where is she? She's there. She gave you back the sheets and she said, do it again, send it back to us again. Anyway, now besides this feedback collected here, anything that you want to personally tell me, personally tell to me and Guido, or tell to everybody at once, via email, please send feedback. And we are starting, so if we are starting, of course, when every project starts, there are issues that have to be defined, and of course it's a process. The project will be a process. But the initial feedback is important. So, and particularly, in my opinion, I don't know what the others think here, but then I give the floor to Guido and Alfonso. Negative feedback or like things that can be improved because they didn't work quite well as we expected them to work or as you expected them to work is better, good, rather than general compliments for the event. So please do it. If you want to write to me whenever, contact me, contact us. No other issues. Okay, that one is important, and that's the last one that I want to mention. Has been already brought to your attention a couple of times. Ilaria said it, and at some point also somebody else, Joting, others. I will coordinate. We have to decide, what is the best procedure to do it. But, I will coordinate, at least in the initial phase. It's important because then it sets up the stage for the future of the communication, internal communication. So I will coordinate these requests for information. They will come, and maybe we need this information. We need information now more than we will need in 2 years when things will be already, in place. So we have to contact the demonstrators leaders to ask something. We don't want 3 different emails starting like overlapping with each other because Joting, myself, Guido, and whoever decides that that's or Anna. Okay, she wants to do it. Okay. So we will do that. So I will coordinate these internal surveys, internal requests for information, and we will set up a procedure so that at least we will have a schedule, proper deadlines, stuff like that. From my side, those are the notes that I took, things that I wanted to communicate to you and also eventually discuss with you. But I leave the mic to Guido first if he wants to add something, or if you want to tell us something even before I give the mic to Guido, please do it.
Please, probably it's better to leave the floor to them. Oh, okay. I cannot see anyone, so only 2 things about the events. So we have collected your feedback about the 2 main interactive sessions. Anna and after all of us will post-process more or less this one, and we'll share with you the general feedback, the general remarks, because we have to understand what could be improved or not about this one that is more or less one of the core activities of the project. So this is the first one. After I've seen that many of you have started sharing the information about the kickoff meeting and so on by their institutional sites and so on, please recall to use our hashtag to permitting to put together all the material that have been shared. for example, also my site, I've provided a new that I've shared on LinkedIn and Twitter, but it's important to have maintained the same hashtag that we have decided. As said before by Ilaria, are available now the template for deliverable and presentation. So if you have institutional or other meeting events where you have to present activities related to the art, you can use this one. For the deliverables, probably the issues can start at month 3. In the next days, we will arrive to you for suggesting, for proposing a procedure to revise the deliverable, because we have thinking with Michele a sort of a procedure to understand how to internally revise the technical scientific content and the coherence with those have been reported in the description of the deliverables. So we return to you in next days with a proposal, probably with a package of the information, the request for different participants, the links and other things, but only to recall that there is also these issues that we should be clarifying in the next days. After, if you have connection with the other project, also with other suggested by the officer, directed with those who have not at the moment connection, please let us know, so to streamline the communication with them in next days. This is more or less.
Yeah. Just one thing, I basically do not interfere much with the scientific and technical part because it's up to them. But in the next days, I will send you a table summarizing the deliverables and the milestone you are responsible of. Because we have strict deadline on this, you know, that we have to upload the deliverables on the platform for the approval of the officer. So if I will send you the table just for the deliverable of each partner, not the overall table. So if you think that some deadlines are not feasible, please tell me this now, not maybe 1 month or a few days before the submission date. I think I will send it at the very beginning of the next week. So if you see, because it happens that during the proposal phase you put a delivery date, and then it happens that you realize that you need some input before and you do not have it. But it would be great to know this now and not later.
I'm asking to you, actually, in relation to that, because we were talking with Guido about the internal procedure of revising the deliverable and then putting, you know, the final version online. Do we need to be online in the platform by the end of, say, month 3? Month 3, after 3 months, that's the final one that has to be uploaded. So in order to revise that particular deliverable, we have to start earlier. And then, okay, so no, that's like just...
What is that? Oh, sorry. When you upload the deliverable and you submit it through the platform, then if you want to modify it, you have to ask the officer to reject it. So it's just a waste of time. So we should upload the real final version of the deliverable, let's say.
Yeah, actually, my question was that do we then have internal deadline for submitting the deliverable and checking it? And when is the deadline before the deliverable deadline?
And indeed, that was like my question was
Yeah.
because with Guido we were talking about that, and the order of magnitude is a month in advance, or let's say 3 weeks in advance, something like that, for the first draft that is written by the leader of the deliverable. Then we will have an internal review process, so there will be a partner responsible for reviewing the deliverable X.X, and that is different from the main, the leader of the deliverable, and then the internal review phase will end with the review of the partner that is each other. So that those things we will write them, but we were discussing about exactly what to put, 21 dates, 28 dates, something like that, in order to arrive at the end of the process at uploading the final revised version in the platform.
Perfect. Second one, Alfonso, there is a deadline which we recognize with the working package 1 and working package 2. We have the month 12 as a deliverable for the concept of the local forum, and in the same time, in month 12, we have to have a minutes from the first international forum. Just to inform you, we were already discussing it by Anna, who is the lead from UNIGE, the leader of the deliverable from International Forum. She's not here anymore. So I think we will continue the discussing if we need to move the deliverable or not, because basically, and we come back to you. That's just that you know about it.
Just send me an email with what you think is best for the deliverable and for the project, and we will discuss with Antonio what is the best to be done, because as far as I can remember, officially, it is not possible to modify the delivery date on the platform. I'm almost sure of this. To modify this...
Then we'll give also the mic to Antonio after.
To modify the dates, as far as I can remember, you need to amend the grant agreement.
Okay.
Or at least I do not have this possibility. I don't know if Antonio has the possibility to modify the delivery date. But we can agree with the officer a certain delay, let's say, if it's not month 12, but 13 or 14.
I mean,
I don't know if Antonio can make this.
Just as a general rule, if you're going to have a delay of 2 months on a deliverable, there's no need to complicate live things and go into the portal. You just send an email saying, well, for this and this deliverable will be slightly late, and that's fine. That's okay. I mean, you wrote this proposal, then months or even years later, you realize that a deliverable will not be in month 30, but 32. That's the minimum that could happen. So it's understood that things happen, projects, there's have a certain level of uncertainty, and we are flexible with these things. If you need to delay a deliverable 6 months, 1 year, then we can talk. But in principle, if these things are minor, just plus minus a few months, then we just, as long as we're informed and we understand why, then it's fine.
Perfect, thank you very much.
Just another thing regarding the peer reviewing of deliverables. My advice is, if you need 1, 2, 3 extra weeks to have the deliverable properly finished and well done, just take them. The deliverable date of deliverable is of course, as much as possible, it's good that you stick to it. But by all means, do not submit an unfinished deliverable if 2 or 3 weeks later you could be delivering a properly finished deliverable. So just take that time and ensure, because otherwise later, first of all, it's going to be complicated for you because your deliverables, some of your deliverables are also reference documents for the consortium. If they are not completed and not finished, there is going to be confusion. But also, by the time the review comes, the experts will look at the deliverables and they will say, well, there's something wrong here, you need to redo it, and this will delay the payment, etc., etc. You would be surprised how many times we have deliverables with figures that can be seen, text that can be read, hyperlinks that don't work, or general format issues on the document. So just make sure that they are properly done and then submit them. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I had one more, which was just very technical. The feedback, or not only the feedback, but the agenda and the minutes from the meeting, and just get an email from our administrator that I need for my travel claim, the minutes of the meeting, the participants lists. Is there any place where I can find it after the kickoff?
After the kickoff, there will be a place, and everybody will be informed for sure. If you go now, there is no, okay, yeah, in my computer things, and that, yes, but definitely I will set up in the next few days for sure the information about this kickoff, including all the videos that are recorded, the participant list, and on top of that, also some information about our consortium, the grant agreement. You will find a directory where you can easily access the main contacts of each partner and stuff like that. So yes, if I understood the questions, I will do it in the next few days.
Wonderful, thank you.
All right. Okay, no, Ilaria. Yes, I didn't see any other hands, therefore.
Very quickly, just to understand, regarding the repository, so the Google Drive, are we going to upload ourselves the contents? So for example, the templates that Guido was mentioning, are we uploading them, creating a folder, visual identity or whatever, or are you going to do it? So we will send it to you and you will do the
No,
job?
I will set up a structure for which uploading, so editorial privileges are granted for specific folders. Yes. No, I don't want to be, like the funnel, the recipient. No. So it's going to be Google Drive both ways. For instance, you don't know, but I can tell you, for this particular kickoff meeting, all of you had access to one folder. But because we know that things may happen when people, many people are like playing around with the same data. So the folders that we used to project the final presentations were created by us. We were only, so I will do something like that. Some of the folders will have editorial privileges for some of you, some others only for us, some will be only visible, and some others will not even be visible. I guess no, there won't be any one of that. But anyway, either visible or with editorial privileges. So yes, you will have to upload.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, before closing, really now we are at a closure. I just want to say, the University of Salerno is coordinating. University of Salerno, I'm representing the University of Salerno. Of course, I'm co-coordinating with Guido, that is another institution, CMCC. We've been developing this project together since the very beginning. Alfonso is with us at the University of Salerno, but we have also other members of the University of Salerno. So I would invite, first of all, the people, some left, one of my colleague, Professor Felici left, but I would like to invite Gaetano Pecoraro, that is a postdoc scholar from our department, has been working with me for many years. After we can go in the center, maybe, come. And also, no, at least I want to do that. And then we have also Rosa Isadora, they've been helping out. You surely interacted with both of them. Rosa just graduated with us at the Department of Civil Engineering a few months ago, not weeks ago. Isadora, she's a visiting PhD student from Brazil. Then we have from the other department, so we have Paolo and Maria Vittoria. And then we have CMCC, he's calling you. If you want, he can introduce you properly. But I would like just to have, to say that we are a team, as you saw already, working at this, a big team, many people.
Okay, for CMCC, supported today, in these days, but also during the project by my colleague, Carmela De Vivo, that is joined in few months after a PhD in University Partenope. And after we have also my colleague and friends, Alfredo Reder, we have started working 10 years ago. After has been involved in this project, probably not fully, but is very interested to these topics. It's not only a job for him. Okay, for CMCC now we have a limited part of the... yeah.
Just I wanted to close with this. I guess Sabatino is taking a picture of us, and also some of you. Thank you very much. Without any other unnecessary delay, I can say that the kickoff is over, and so we kicked off this project. So let's hope that the ball will be rolling.
Okay. Probably logistic information now.
Yeah, the kickoff is over, but there is an optional part. So logistically, you will find, I don't know where, there or there, most likely there, the packet lunch. We asked you what kind of sandwich did you want, so pick up the one that you chose, like either ham and mozzarella or like the vegan, vegetarian one. Okay. Packet lunch is for you. You can eat it where you want. It's packed. You go where you want. Again, if you want to join the optional, let's not call it the optional visit, that it will include both a touristical part and a technical part, be here at 2 p.m. and we will start from here. It's going to last a little more than 1 hour. We are in the city center. I don't even know what we will see. Actually, I will learn something as well. When we will be in Vallone dei Molini, then it's going to be my 10 minutes of technical explanations about landslides.
During the visit, during this part, you can leave the luggage here.
There is also a room dedicated for that, so like you can ask me or Sabatino, and yeah.
Okay, it is expected that the technical visit can end in within 1 hour probably, so 1 hour and a half. For the lunch packet, you can use when you want, where you want, and after come back. If you think that you are not interested or you have a train to come back, please let us know in order to understand when we can start the
I don't know, flexibility. If at 2 we leave, you know, if you're here, you're here. If you're not interested. I don't want to take now a list of people participating, so that we can. All right, it's over. See you soon somewhere and talk to you soon.